A single dad's boss knocked at midnight. What she said next changed everything. The knock came at 12:17 a.m. Not loud, not urgent, careful, like whoever stood on the other side already knew the house was fragile. I froze in the hallway, one sock on, the other forgotten somewhere near my son's room. The baby monitor hissed softly from the kitchen counter. He was asleep, breathing, safe. I didn't move. The knock came again. 3 taps this time. Measured. Familiar. My phone buzzed in my palm. Unknown. Open the door. We need to talk. I knew that cadence, that restraint pretending to be calm. I opened the door without checking the peephole. She stood there in a tailored coat too expensive for this street, rain beating along the collar, hair perfect, eyes sharp, not a single crack in the armor she wore to the office every day. My boss, at my door, at midnight. She looked past me, into the house, like she was already inside. "You said it again today," she said quietly. I didn't ask what she meant. I already felt it moving under my ribs. "Say what?" I asked anyway. She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell her perfume, something clean and clinical, power dressed as restraint. "That you were leaving." Her eyes finally met mine. "And I realized," she continued, voice barely above a whisper, "I can accept you quitting," a pause, "but not losing you." The rain soaked through her coat. I didn't invite her in. I didn't have to. She crossed the threshold like it belonged to her. I used to believe loyalty was visible, that if you worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, sacrificed enough, someone would notice, someone would protect you. I learned otherwise in pieces. She hired me 2 years after my wife died, a single dad with a resume full of gaps and apologies. She didn't ask about the gaps. She asked about my limits. I said I didn't have any. That was my first mistake. At work, she praised my discipline, my focus, my silence. In meetings, she watched me like I was a chess piece she had already planned to sacrifice. When I asked for time off to take my son to a specialist, she approved it instantly, then docked my bonus, quietly. When I declined drinks after work, she smiled, then reassigned my team, subtly. And when I finally resigned, clean, respectful, written weeks in advance, she didn't react at all, just nodded. That silence felt wrong. Then the rumors started, emails I'd never sent, complaints I'd never filed, a compliance investigation whispered through HR like a threat without teeth. I denied everything. She never defended me. At night, I replayed conversations, her pauses, her smiles, the way she always stood too close when she needed something. Still, I told myself I was imagining it, until midnight, until she stood in my doorway and spoke like she owned the air between us. "You're making a mistake," she said, looking around my modest living room, the toys, the folded laundry, the life I'd scraped together. "You don't get to decide that," I said. She smiled. That was when I knew. This wasn't about my job. It never had been. After she left, because I told her to, I didn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table until dawn, the baby monitor glowing softly, and replayed every interaction I'd dismissed as coincidence. Control leaves patterns. I requested my employment file. I pulled phone records from my work-issued device, archived emails, calendar invites that had been deleted but not erased. She'd scheduled private meetings and canceled them minutes before, then documented that I failed to show. I found forwarded messages sent from my account to hers, time-stamped during hours I was in meetings with witnesses. Someone had access. Her access. I didn't confront her. I nodded in the hallway when I returned my badge. I thanked HR for their time. And then I waited. I hired a forensic analyst with money I'd saved for emergencies. This qualified. We traced IP addresses, login patterns, metadata. Her name surfaced like a bruise. Still, I waited, because people like her don't crack when accused. They crack when exposed. I documented everything, screenshots, logs, timelines. And then I did something small. I sent her a message. "Me. You were right. I shouldn't have quit." Her reply came in seconds. Come to my office tomorrow, after hours. I didn't sleep that night either. I tucked my son in and memorized his breathing. Then I sharpened the knife, metaphorically. Her office looked different after dark. Less glass, more shadows. She poured wine. I didn't touch it. "You look tired," she said. "So do you," I replied. I placed a folder on her desk, thick, heavy. She frowned, then opened it. The color drained from her face slowly, like a tide pulling back. Login records, forged emails, compliance notes edited after submission. She looked up at me, eyes wide. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I said. My voice surprised even me, calm, flat. "You needed leverage," I continued, "control. And when I tried to leave, you decided to ruin me instead." Silence. Her hands shook. "I didn't think you'd look," she whispered. "That's where you miscalculated." She stood abruptly, panic cracking through the polish. "We can fix this," she said. "I can make calls, restore your position, double your salary." I leaned forward. "I recorded this meeting," I said softly. Her mouth opened, then closed. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten her. I simply stood and walked to the door. "You'll resign by Friday," I said, "effective immediately," citing personal reasons. She laughed weakly. "You think you can force me?" I turned. "You already sent an email to the board," I replied, "drafted an hour ago, scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow." Her knees buckled. I watched it happen with clinical interest. "I won't release the evidence," I continued, "unless you contact me again, in any way." She sank into her chair. "What do you want?" she asked, broken. "Nothing," I said. That was the truth. I left her office without looking back. The house felt quieter when I returned. My son slept peacefully, unaware of the war fought outside his room. I watched him for a long time. Then I sat down and deleted the recordings, all of them. Power isn't keeping leverage, it's knowing you never needed it. She resigned 3 days later. No scandal, no explanation. I found work elsewhere, somewhere smaller, somewhere honest. Sometimes, late at night, I remember the knock, the rain, her voice saying she couldn't lose me. She was wrong. She never had me. And now, no one ever will.